Okay, what's up, people? That took me a minute to figure out. Okay, so today we're not going to be here long. Big shout out. I can't see the chat or anything, and this is on vertical mode. Trying something new here. So I don't know. I have my phone here though, so I can see what you guys see, and I can see the chat from my phone. So I'm just checking it out. Okay, people. So much love. This is something that I've been wanting to get to during the last few streams. Let me see these different settings here. We'll do that one. It's kind of weird. Oh, it doesn't look too bad on your guys' end, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to read it. And the live chat. Hold on a minute. Yeah, so it's not working like I was thinking. Whatever. I mean, it doesn't have... Okay. We might have to restart this, people. And I just wasted a notification. Oh. So I did this right last time, and then now it's not right. Let me try this. 1 second, people. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're good. Okay, sorry. All right, people. So I apologize. I don't like the vertical mode at all on YouTube for doing this, but I want to do it every once in a while. Who knows? They might, put me on the algorithm, get, people looking for us. So anyways, um, so I've been wanting to get to this article, and I haven't even read it all the way through, but I read the first paragraph the other day, and it was mind-blowing. Um, it's not too bad on your guys' end. I'll zoom in like this, though. We're going to talk about thoughts, people. Okay? You want to get out of the matrix, people? You better start paying attention to your thoughts. Trust me, we'll turn that down. And this is a great thing. If someone says, what's your solutions, this and that, my number one would be thoughts. Understanding these, deciphering them, observing them, understanding them, and knowing the difference between you and the thought invaders. Okay? So we're loud and clear, right? Okay. So shout out to everybody. I don't have the normal StreamYard where I can see all the comments up here through this mode. I don't know how it works, but I can see you guys down there. Debbie, Call for Zero, Sunkiss, Gretchen, Heather. We'll watch tomorrow. Much love. I can't even see how many people's here. Okay, we'll get started. So I have a few things here. And let me get out of all this stuff here. That's not necessary. Okay. So what is thought? Let's do a basic thing of what is thoughts, people. Like a basic definition. So it's the mind's way of processing information. They could be anything from abstract ideas, memories, plans, or emotional reactions. They're like a mental narrative constantly running in the background, shaping our perceptions and decisions. Mental narrative constantly running in the background, shaping our perceptions and decisions. Welcome to the Matrix, people. This is a big influence going on, not just on a physical level, but on a spiritual level. In many layers of this. This is a big program, people, that we have got to get control of. Okay? The most powerful thing you can do is step outside of your thoughts and really observe them and question them and really understand them and know the invaders, people. So we've been talking a lot about it with the parasites and stuff. We'll be getting into that, but we're going to start with this article. So before we get started with that, let's go through this because I asked this some more questions. I said, name some things or beings that manipulate thoughts. Media and advertising, right? Government and propaganda, obviously. Influencers and celebrities, obviously. Peer pressure, AI programs can suggest content and shape online behavior based on user data. Peer pressure, AI, fictional characters, psychological manipulators, individual with skills in persuasion or manipulation can influence others' thoughts and reactions. And so what we need to understand, or what we should think about all these things on the screen here, the thought manipulators, that they're actually only here to manipulate our thoughts. That's the whole purpose of these things. This is all the government governing our mental, governing our thoughts. And thought invaders, people. That's the whole purpose of this. Which creates the world around you, people, and why people do what they do. It's their thoughts, people. Without that, you know what I mean? It's the basis of everything. So, anyways, let's move forward. Please like and share. And I apologize, I can't go through the chat, but I can see you guys down there. I'll look at it periodically. So there's the different things, and then we'll get to the what I asked it next shortly. Let's start with this, people. We're not going to be here that long. Okay. Voices in our heads. The prefrontal cortex as a parasite. Okay. Now, this guy, for the record, he does not talk about parasites at all, but he's basically referring to them in a way. And I like his approach, and I've only read this part. So we're going to read this together. And I apologize, I have the window open here, so you might hear the neighbors. But, so we're going to read this whole thing, people. Wow, this is kind of long, but I don't care. We're going to read in this damn thing. Because this first paragraph blew my mind. So a few years ago, as I was beginning to hear voices again after a long time without hearing them, I started to think about what voices really are. It began to seem to me that we are having a very strange relationship to voices. And that includes even one's own internal voice. If you stop and think about it for a moment, you'll see that your own internal voice isn't really you, even if it usually feels like you. If you stop and think about it for a moment, you'll see that your own internal voice really isn't you, people. That may sound strange, but while you may listen to your own internal voice a lot and probably feel that it's you talking to yourself, in fact, it really isn't the same as talking to yourself. The real you, check this out. The real you, I would suggest, is the one who is listening to that voice, not the one who is speaking. That you are, in fact, only half of this equation. Yeah, people, you're not your thoughts. You're not that voice. You're the listener to that. Keep that in mind, people. I'm the listener. I'm not you. You know what I mean? Although these thoughts are sometimes information that we need or things like that, we got to know the difference. But look at it as I'm the listener. I'm the observer of you, and I'm examining you, and I'm trying to look at you and understand what your intention is. It's not you. You're the listener. So that's the big point with that. And if you listen to that voice long enough and you don't buy into what it's saying without question, that is, if you don't simply assume that everything it's saying is what you want to say or what you actually believe, then you may realize that the situation resembles some kind of strange theater performance, one in which you are the member of an audience who is merely listening to an actor who is giving a performance. And that's all of this is happening as intensely as it is, even though that performance is given solely for one person, you. That's super deep, people. It's a strange theater performance. And you're a member of the audience merely listening to an actor who's giving a performance. And all of this happening as intensely as it is, even though it's solely for one person, you people, a program. You're like someone who's watching a television show and who gets so used to listening to the actor on the screen that you identify with their performance to the point where you can no longer really tell the difference between yourself and the strange creature who is actually giving the performance and who, needless to say, isn't you. And since I do happen to be pretty experienced with the voice hearing, much to my regret, since I wouldn't say it's been a fun experience as well as a bit of a student of evolution who just sort of thinks in biological terms, I started to call this creature the one who is giving the performance, a parasite. Wow, that's deep, people. I started giving this creature in my head, trying to, manipulate me, the word name parasite. You know what I mean, people? Wow. Now, I don't say that to alarm anyone, but this creature that is talking is so intertwined with our mental lives that we don't realize how truly persuasive it is. Like and share, people. It is a source of much of our ego, which is then the cause of much of the human evil in the world, since it preys not only on the rest of the individual human being in whose head is talking, always egging you on to find love with that one, or maybe you could get money from that one, or maybe you can have more power and authority and esteem if you go to know that one, but also through the social verbal matrix in which it exists to any other human being that it can bring under its sway. Wow. To the social verbal matrix which it exists to any other human beings that it may bring under its sway. Wow. The power of this creature that talks inside us cannot be overestimated. And it behaves like a parasite because what it wants for itself, money, love, pressure, often comes with a price that is paid by the rest of the individual human being that it lives inside of, by other human beings that it finds and then exploits. This is some deep ass shit right here, people. If you read on just a bit further, I think you'll be able to explain not only why I've come to consider this creature the voice of the prefrontal cortex, a parasite, but also how it developed the role that it has, which is both verbally based and socially structured, and how in a deceptively strange way it is not only part of us but entirely separate from us at the same time. Yeah, people. Think of it this way, why? Why after all does one actually need to talk to oneself? Seriously. Why talk to oneself? A really efficient machine, we are biological machines after all, wouldn't need to talk to itself. It would go about its day, its parts quietly in sync with each other, and not speaking in a rhetorical performance oriented way to itself at all. And so when I really, really noticed what I was doing with myself, one thing talking to me and me listening to it, I began to question what was going on. And I happen to recall something I had heard recently about how a social development of human beings, as we moved into larger groups that needed more complex communication so we could perform more complex social tasks, such as hunting together in teams where different members of the groups had different roles, had all taken place at around the same time that language developed, which struck me as very interesting developmental path. Developmental, developing our mental, people. Okay, This is kind of long, but we're going to get through this slowly. As I considered the voice I heard talking to me in my own head, it suddenly occurred to me that what was happening was more or less a later development of the brain talking to a more basic and earlier level of consciousness. One which was not verbal itself, but which was capable of understanding ideas that either did or didn't use a verbal form, and which was in fact the actual seat and locus of my real awareness. In other words, the prefrontal cortex was like a separate being, communicating by speech with more basic self, as though if it were another person, one which had rhetorically persuade me to believe what it wanted me to believe and do as it wanted me to do. The voice talking in my head, and let's point out, people get screwed up thoughts. You know what I mean? That's one thing we don't discuss with people. And there's not enough conversations going on. People don't want to talk about this. People get screwed up thoughts. People have shared with me about their thoughts. And some of them were so mind blowing and freaky. It was like, how do you get these thoughts all of a sudden? Just all of a sudden, she started thinking this horrible thing. Just all of a sudden, people. And it was like going on for a long time. And she couldn't get out of her mind. Like, where does that come from? You know, we're not talking about this enough. These thoughts. No conversations going on about this. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. The voice talking in my head, in other words, was giving a verbal performance in the same style as a social communication between different people to the rest of my mind. Much as earlier humans have learned to speak to each other to persuade and influence each other. Wow. And the way it was capable of transfixing my attention had almost the same power as watching a snake swaying in front of me and hissing for my attention. It was, in other words, a different person than the rest of me, and that thought was profoundly unsettling. Yep. And so this is a complex thing going on, thoughts. And sometimes there's a part of you that you want to tap into that's receiving information or a knowing or an energetic something. And we might decode as a language, and we might sometimes get something that we need confused with thoughts too, if you guys get what I'm saying. But this whole, we should be able to tell the difference. The invader thoughts, you know? And most people are literally operating through this mechanism and this whole program, and their entire life is run off that, people. You know what I mean? On autopilot. And they're literally, their whole life is controlled by their thoughts. I mean, that's what it seems like to me. Or we might be doing some NPCs. I don't know what's going on, people. Okay. And as I thought of all the various things that that voice had wanted from me and other people over the years, money, love, sex, and shelter, of course, but also fame, glamour, admiration, power, and control over the human beings, and the ability to control other people's money and resources, and so forth, it struck me that that little hissing snake inside was such a vicious beast. In fact, that it made you understand why the book of Genesis, I don't pound on the Bible a whole lot, but I really do like Genesis and Revelation. The serpent is described as a cleverest beast in creation. And when you realize that what they were talking about was that serpent-like power of speech that lies in the tongue, you realize what an evil creature this is. This thing really is under the right circumstances. And I would take that a little bit further myself. It's not a snake. The serpent is a worm. It's a fiber optic cable of the Matrix, people. You know what I mean? This is a fiber optic cable program that has divided itself into endless pieces as a program. And all beings and things. You know what I mean? In so many ways. So when you're talking about serpents and snakes, I look as a worm, people. That's what they really meant, anyways, in these original translations. Don't get it confused. Yeah, sometimes they're probably referring to a serpent, but overall, a lot of these things, when you do your research outside of the translations, it's talking about a worm, people. You know? And so we've been getting a lot into that worm stuff. We'll be getting into it a little bit in a minute. Okay, now, okay, so, so we're here. Much love. I see you guys down there on my phone, but I can't see it up here like usual, so I apologize. But I'm just trying to read this article, go over some things, get this out of the way, and then we'll shut it down. Probably won't be here much longer than an hour more, or however long it takes to get through this. Now, at the same time, you have to give that creature, its due. Whoa, we are able to deal with complex problems, communicate with each other, and even create new ideas because of that snake. It is there after all because it serves a function. But the prefrontal cortex has taken its role as the vehicle for communication and turned it into a way to make all communication serve itself. Wow, that is fucking deep, people. The prefrontal cortex has taken its role as the vehicle for communication and turned it into a way to make all communication serve itself. It is basically a separate part of the brain serving itself by using social verbal communication to do so. It is not inherently evil, but it most certainly has become a parasite. And by that, I mean an actual physical parasite that is built right into our brains. And until we understand what it's doing, we are prey to every evil that can be imagined. This is absolutely amazingly mind-blowing. So we see what he's saying here. This is absolutely mind-blowing. So the prefrontal cortex, remember we've been going over that. And what happens to people when they have a tumor there? I don't want to get too much into the parasite thing, but what they turned into, or a lot of people with these certain crimes, they had a tumor or an infection or like weird things going on with their prefrontal cortex in that area of the brain for decision making, things like that, you know? So this is D stuff. And he says right here that that whole thing is a parasite. This is, that is the parasite is the fiber optic cables of the matrix. It's like the plug, the prefrontal. This is what I'm realizing. The prefrontal cortex is like the socket, and the parasite is the plug into your mind, controlling your thoughts and manipulating you in this matrix. That is so deep, people. And so they specifically designed the prefrontal cortex as almost like an energetic socket for this fiber optic cable of technology. The prefrontal cortex provides benefits, but at the same time, it turns the rest of the human being and as many other human beings as it can bring under its spell into servants of its own agenda for pleasure, self-regard, and power seeking. And I think it's time we finally recognize it for what it is, a parasite, separate from the rest of us. Until we recognize what it is and its power, we will never be truly free to make our own hampered decisions. Can you name something more important of awareness people to get people right now? I mean, this is it, people. You know what I mean? This is the root of it all. If we got this under control, oh boy, would it be a different world. If we just understand what he's trying to get across here. I mean, the world would completely change just from this, people. So you're not a truth seeker unless you're getting into what we've been getting into here and then this type of stuff. If you're not talking about this and you're some truth seeker, you're not a truth seeker. You are a victim to this system, or you're a part of it, in my opinion. You know? For reals, people. That's where I'm at. Screw these people. Because if you seek truth, you want like the most important things and you're passionate about it. Well, if you're that passionate about it, it should lead you right to this. If it doesn't, then you're a program running to distract everybody, in my opinion. So, anyways, as I said earlier, it wasn't until I started to hear some voices again that I really started to examine what was going on with what I had. Up till then, thought of my own internal voice. As it happens, I was also meditating quite a bit at the time. Now, I'm not a sit on the cushion and close your eyes and try to feel peaceful kind of meditator. Me either. I'm a kind of get out in the world kind of meditator. That's me. I like to walk, look around, and see the world. And at the same time, I'm maintaining the kind of awareness that meditation brings. That is amazing. I'm the kind of meditator I am. We don't. This is the program too. To just sit alone in quietness and be all kumbaya, and that's how we meditate. And the people I knew in my personal life, some of them were meditation teachers, meditated 8 hours a day, and they were not to be disturbed. It was a serious thing. He meditated 8 hours a day. But I tell you what, people, this guy made a lot of money teaching people this, doing classes, the whole nine, people. I'm not even going to say his name. This dude, and he could be watching me, but I don't care. He treated his wife and kids like absolute shit, people. It was so shocking, I had to distance myself. Because it's like, wait a minute, you meditate 8 hours a day, you teach people this, you're all zen and this master. But yet you treat your kids like absolute and your wife like shit. It made no sense. So anyways, besides that, I'm that type of person. I'll be at work in chaos or whatever it is, and that's like my real time to like multitask with my thoughts, like do my tasks at hand, but also organizing my thoughts, and you know what I mean? So you don't have to just be all kumbaya, people. We really want to control this in the midst of the chaos, being in the eye of the storm, you know? That's also a great way to go about this and practice for what we're dealing with here. So, in fact, I have some doubts about the value of sitting on the cushion kind of meditation. If that kind of meditation really worked, there would be millions of Buddhist monks all over the world who were enlightened already. But that doesn't seem to be the case. What I believe in is our ability to maintain mindfulness no matter what's happening. When that's appropriate for the situation, and to drop the meditative awareness and just get things done in the world when that's appropriate. There you go, people. This is powerful. Okay, 1 second. Oh, what's up, Glenn? Sunkid. Sorry, I can't see much in the chat. Oh, Four of a Love. Celestial. We're good to see everybody. Sandy, Nick, Joseph. Good to see everybody. Crunchy, everybody. Gretchen, everyone. Okay. So I like this. Okay, so instead of trying, so he goes deeper into this, and then we're almost done with this. Cool. We're gonna get to some other things too. Instead of trying to sit on a cushion and feel peaceful, which is just about impossible in actual practice, your mind doesn't ever stop feeding your thoughts, feeding feelings and ideas. No matter what you do, real meditation is about engaging with what's really there, listening to your thoughts without engaging with them. Yes, but still watching what they're doing without judgment, but simply being aware of them, letting them pass through you. Let's read this again, people. This is super powerful. And as for the record, I'm not a thought expert and I'm in everyone else's thing. I just on a journey that I'm sharing. I'm learning with it. I haven't even read this. I'm learning myself, and this is like helping me. So just for the record, you know what I mean? Like I'm right where everyone else is. I'm not any kind of teacher or nothing, people. I need to figure this out myself. I need to adopt this what he's talking about here myself. Okay, let's read this again, people. Instead of trying to sit on a cushion and feel peaceful, which is just about impossible in the actual practice, your mind doesn't ever stop feeding your thoughts, feelings, and ideas, no matter what you do. Real meditation is about engaging with what's really there, listening to your thoughts without engaging with them, yes, but still watching what they're doing without judgment, but simply being aware of them, letting them pass through you. Oh man, that is bam, people. Yeah, I mean, without that, that's the next level of thoughts. I could sit here and say parasites and matrix programming and stuff, but we actually want a different approach than throwing that label on it. Actually, just letting it pass with no judgment and not giving it any energy. Just let it flow out of you. You know what I mean? That's a great approach with this that actually I'm just now realizing. Or where I want to end up is for me, I like to know the nuts and bolts of this and understand the manipulation, how it goes with other things we're going to get into in a minute. But ultimately, that is a spot to be. But it's not everyone has their own way of doing it. You know, it's not just one way. Okay. Or you listen to your body, the sense of tension in your back and neck, or the tingling in your hand, or whatever. The thing is to just be there and let it happen. Meditation is not about feeling peaceful, it is about simply observing what is really happening, being present in the moment. Right? That's what I was thinking up here. It's what did it say here? Up here when he was talking about well anyways, being present in the moment. And that's what's going on with a lot of people, and people aren't present, especially with families and stuff. I've seen a lot in my life. You know what I mean? Most people aren't present in the moment. They're caught up in their thoughts, devices, and you know what I mean? And so, anyways, let's continue. Meditation is not about feeling peaceful. It is about simply observing what is really happening with the result, not a goal that you are trying to force yourself to achieve, but simply the result. Mmm. Not the not a goal that you are trying to force yourself to achieve, but simply the result. That you come to be detached from it all at the same time that you are genuinely engaged with it, involved without ever being caught up in it. You will see it all without being captured. Mmm. Big shout out to Dom. Big shout out to Dom because he's the one that was always bringing this up, and it really stuck with me over time. And I've definitely been thinking a lot about this and trying to work on this myself. So he's the one that always talked about this. He was right. And in dealing with my own internal voice, the voice of the parasite, what I have done is to simply let it talk, 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 just as the Buddha says. And I listen without really ever believing what it has to say. At least not until I have let myself just look at it. Then let it sink into my heart and be tested by my own deeper sense of what is real. That sense of what is real seems to come from that earlier existing part of the brain, the one that was there before we developed the power of speech. That is the voice that I can really trust, even if it is always silent. Oh my God. You know, this dude had to end up with a super powerful ending on this. This is absolutely epic. We're going to read this last paragraph again, people. This is absolutely amazing. Wow, what a I'm going to try to I'm going to try to post a link to this. Okay, so let's read this part again. And in dealing with my own internal voice, the voice of the parasite, what I have done is to simply let it talk, 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 just as the Buddhism says. And I listen without really ever believing what it has to say, at least not until I have let myself just look at it. Then let it sink into my heart and be tested by my own deeper sense of what is real. That sense of what is real seems to come from the earlier existing part of the brain. The one that was there before we developed the power of speech. That is the voice that I can really trust, even if it is always silent. That is absolutely amazing. So, this is from this guy, I believe, Eric Coates. It's from Made in America. It's called Voices in Our Head, the Prefrontal Cortex as Parasite. This is from 2017, people. Yeah, it's from Eric Coates. You guys can look it up. You search that, you'll find it. So, let's get back here. We're almost done here. I want to point something out while we're here still. So, we talked about this a little bit in the beginning. I said, he knows about the parasites for sure. That dude. He no doubt knows about it. But I like his approach where he didn't almost like he avoided my approach, which you're going to capture more minds in a good way with that, which, you know what I mean? So I learned a lot from that. But let's go to my way of doing of talking about this, people. Let's get deep and disgusting truth on it. You know? I say, can parasites manipulate human thoughts? Let's do breeze through this real quick. Certain parasites can manipulate the behavior of the host, including humans. This phenomenon is known as neuroparasitology. For example, toxoplasmosis, which can infect humans through contact with cat feces or undercooked meat, has shown to alter the behavior of infected rodents, making them less afraid of predators. The effects on human behavior are less clear. Some studies suggest potential links to changes in personality and risk-taking behaviors. And so this is important that they admit 1/3 of the world population is infected. Let's not forget this. I'm telling you, not medical advice. This is entertainment. I'm telling you that it's more like 98% is infected with this. And so when you're talking about personality changes, risk taking, I mean, we get a lot into it. This is a very mild explanation of it. This is literally just a small speck of what we've been getting into with this. But anyways, let's move forward. So I said to it, I said, based on that, there should be more awareness of this. Why is that? Fair point. There should be more awareness about how parasites can influence behavior. One reason for the lack of attention might be that it's a niche area of research compared to more visible health issues. Plus, the subtle changes in behavior caused by parasites can be easily overlooked or attributed to other factors. There you go, people. This thing just told us the truth. The changes that it's causing is being overlooked and attributed to other factors, people. And that's what we've been showing on a massive scale. To where back in the days, I would say about 100 different diagnoses would have been one thing, people. For instance, When you're talking about brain damage or neurological damage, which we've all dealt or dealing with on some level, but when you're talking about neurological and brain damage, that is has been giving dozens and dozens of different diagnoses. Before it would just be brain damage. You know what I mean? Different spinal congestions and stuff like that were just that. Now it has 30 diagnoses, but it used to be one thing. You see the complicated confusion stuff going on? And so this is a big agenda, people. You know what I mean? It's a gigantic agenda because, well, we're not going to get into much. So then I said, it seems like a form of technology. In a sense, you're spot on. The way parasites like toxoplasmosis can alter behavior mimics what we might consider a biological form of technology. These organisms have evolved highly sophisticated methods to influence their host's actions, much like how certain technologies can manipulate human behavior through data and algorithms. It's a natural form of mind control woven into the fabric of evolution. It's not true evolution, it's matrix evolution and manipulation. You know what I mean? This is evolution for the system and the ones a part of it, not truly for us, people. You know what I mean? It has highly sophisticated methods to influence their host's actions, much like technologies can manipulate human behavior through data and um, algorithms, people. That's what it is. You know what I mean? So then I said one more thing here. How do we know they weren't re engineered like we see science doing now? It said, interesting thought. While there's no concrete evidence suggesting ancient parasites were bioengineered, the concept of manipulating organisms isn't new. Today's advancements in genetic engineering show how humans can alter living beings for specific purposes. Just imagine if ancient civilizations had advanced biotech. Well, of course they did. You see? See the game this thing plays? It's not a new thing. You know what I mean? So a lot of time when we discuss these things, people go to, oh, we're parasites too, or they point to maybe something that's a part of nature at a natural cycle. But what are we seeing in science today? Them re-engineering things, making new species, doing a lot of weird shit. And imagine the things that we don't know that's going on behind the scenes. Imagine that, which is astronomical compared to what we know. And we only know a piece of what we could know. You know what I mean? All this information has been out there. And to be on my walk and my journey and my life of truth, and to almost hear nobody talk about this is rather disgusting. Okay. A few more things on this. I had some other things, but we've already talked a lot about this. And we see some recent stuff on this. We talked about this already about the correct figure is 95% infection rate or more, and that their testing is 1% accurate. We've already gone through this, but I just want to point that out. That there's data proving that their testing, especially in the United States, is 1% accurate. You know, this is a big agenda, people. You go to your doctor and you say you want to be tested for these, they're going to laugh at you and say, are you some TikToker? Are you a conspiracy theorist? You know what I mean? The awareness of this would put them out of business, by the way. Just saying. So we're done with that. But let's go to this one. The parasite that takes over our brains, people. So I don't want to like read a bunch of this, but it's just crazy to think, like really think about this. These things that are a thousandth of a millimeter, people, in size, gives us thoughts and takes over our brains, people. Um, One of the most common parasite in humans, it is hosted by approximately 1/3 of people. So they even admit 33%. Even so, most of us only know of its existence through pregnancy. During pregnancy, when pregnant women receive instructions not to eat unorganic meat, blah, blah, blah. Nevertheless, all signs point to the fact that it plays an important role in many aspects of our lives. You know? When it enters the body of the intermediate host, it acts in a very surprising way. It begins to reproduce asexually and takes control of our immune system, promoting a specific response that causes the parasite to form cysts in different tissues with a preference for the brain. These are matrix soldiers, people. So immediately it's producing asexually, takes control of the immune system, which might take it 10 years to do it. It'll immediately size you up, people. These things immediately size you up. It's a grid system. You know what I mean? It's a whole system. It sizes you up, your immune system and everything. And it knows it's so strategic that it knows that to really penetrate and cross your blood-brain barrier, it's going to have to do this, this, and this. And it might get there in 10 years. You know what I mean? But it knows what it has to do to get to that point, and it's mission on, you know? And sometimes it's not able to do any of it. It just sits and waits and tap with your immune system, waiting for that door to open, and it's going to take every inch you give it. Wow. With a preference for the brain. When the immune system responds to the different, it occurs, blah, blah, blah. Infection and cyst formation is asymptomatic. Yeah. Only mild discomfort. Asymptomatic because it's not trying to affect give you disease or different other things that can happen. It's not worried about that. It's trying to control this, people. It's trying to control this part of you and get to the socket, like I was saying. Wow. That is crazy. Cysts hosted in a mouse brain similar to the parasites that 1/3 of human beings have. The reddish elements that can be seen in the cyst are blah blah dormant individuals that would give a rise to a new infection if the mouse were eaten by a cat. This is what they do, people. This is a army of toxoplasma forming a cyst. You know what I mean? And they're shapeshifters too. Sometimes different things will form a cyst where in the beginning stages it looks something like this. But by the time you realize what's going on, it looks just like a cyst that the doctors talk about. Just saying, people. You know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. We're not going to go through that. To the point that it's estimated that every year more than 1 million S attempts worldwide are related to the parasite. You see what's going on here, people? Are we waking up yet? Think about what they're saying, and they're saying it whatever. This is entertainment. More than 1 million S word attempts worldwide are related to the parasite. Imagine that, people. The number is astronomically more in a lot of ways in different things. Like I was pointing to that one article, remember? We were saying these things have killed more than all wars, all diseases, all any type of big killers in our world. These things have killed more than all of it combined. You know why? Because it's the cause. Yeah, people. It's people don't want to accept it. And then they always say the basic dumb stuff every single time, and it pisses me off. I think I have it here. I won't be able to find it because I have so much people. I have files that's just insane. But there is a thing we went over about the parasites. And we're not going to be here much longer. It's somewhere here. Oh, wow. Anyways, let's move forward. I'm not going to find it. I'm not going to. Oh, wait. It's okay. Let's continue here. Where are we at? Okay. Until now, toxoplasma is dormant in its in a dormant state presents itself as a serious public health problem, which poses enormous challenges to health systems in which, until very recently, have been overlooked. But there's more. Toxoplasma generates behavioral changes with potential importance in human societies. For example, there seems to be a relationship between carrying toxocyst and starting a business. Oh, people carrying the parasite are more likely to want to be entrepreneurs when they are students and start their own businesses in adult life. So this is where we get into this is why we can't trust really much of anything that they say. And so this is another thing coming out now that people infected with this parasite are less likely to have complications with asthma or this or that. But there is something with this. I would like to look at the studies because often when you look at these studies, there's always something fishy going on for the most part. And we don't know what we can trust. But there is something to this. I don't even look at it as, oh, they're all infected with this parasite. They became business owners, so it's a good thing. No, they're just living out the script, people. You know what I mean? It's a script. And if you had a script to live out, or that something wanted you to live out, what would it be its number one tool for that as we're wandering about in this world? I would think it would be a manipulating our thoughts and minds, our reward system, our prefrontal cortex, all that, especially thoughts, would be number one. That would be the number one tool that you would need to influence in a human being. You know? So I find it interesting, and we're not gonna be here much longer. I find it interesting that they were saying this that was mind blowing, even went to the S attempts, right? And then they hit us with the other stuff saying, yeah, all these successful people have it too. This is a red flag, people. Great changes in human society. I like to imagine that the first person who painted animals or represented the palms of their hands on a cave had toxoplasma cysts in their brain. Just like the person who dared to control fire or create musical instruments. Perhaps those who embarked on intrepid voyages of exploration, those who tried drugs for the first time, those who began breeding the wolves that eventually became a rise to the dog, or even those who grew blah blah finally produced corn had toxoplasma. How about everybody does? So this is the loophole in information and how they lie with statistics. Think about this, people. So they're saying business owners and people, entrepreneurs that were successful, are more likely to be infected. I guarantee you the opposite spectrum of that, successful entrepreneurs, all the people that are opposite of that were also infected. I guarantee you, people. So that's why it can't be trusted, because the real number is 95%, and, in my opinion, and their testing is 1% accurate. Therefore, none of their testing can be trusted. You know? So this is the Matrix scripts happening here, people. That's what it is. So let's read this real quick. An increasing number of studies suggest humans known to be infected with this parasite could be more susceptible to schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, aggression, or even increased suicide. So, people, so it's not what they're it comes in different stages, and it can change its own gene expression and actually like shapeshift and changes DNA sequence, people. It's been proven to do that on the dime based on it knows when you're going to be doing different tests, whatever, and it could change its structure. So it's about what stage it's at and how much in control it is of these areas it's trying to take over with your immune system and your prefrontal cortex, blood brain barrier. That's what it's about. Where are they going when they test? How are they testing? How many different tests are they doing? Remember, people, look at this. On this one, this dude, this is a doctor. Um, there's something important here. Okay. So in this, he was talking about how, and this is known. Okay, right here. Let's read this real quick. So this doctor sent they did a test. Well, that's what they say, but I believe this based on our medical system, what I know. They sent 5 patients to 3 different labs in New York City for parasite testing, all within the same 1 week period. They all went directly to the labs and gave fresh stool samples. All 3 results of all 5 patients came back completely different. None of the labs were able to find the same parasites. In a separate incident, I had 3 patients collect samples. These patients saw live worms crawling in the sample. They rushed it to the labs. The results were negative. And these were 3 different labs. So there's what I'm talking about, people. So exactly how are they testing these people? Are they doing it multiple times, trying different things? You got to wonder with these different studies. These studies, man, can be is a lot of times are dangerous because a lot of people will read a study on a headline and they'll go around and talk about it and run with it, and then now this is a big program running too. But these things, when you're talking about something that is 1,000th of a millimeter, look at how small that is. What type of testing are they doing, people? Just like I've been pointing out with certain things, I'm not going to go in details, They should microscopically be looking at different fluids, spinal fluid, blood. I've been showing this, people, and they don't for very serious diseases. Because if they did, they would see what's really going on. And it's like, okay, with this disease, you should no doubt be looking underneath a microscope at these fluids and you would see what's going on. And it's very odd the medical system does not do that, you know? Because if they did, they would see what I'm talking about. Isn't that crazy? Um, an increased number of studies suggest that humans known to be infected with these parasites could be more susceptible to schizophrenia, bipolar aggression, and even increased S word. Studies have even suggested that you are 2 to 3 times more likely to have a car crash. This is particularly striking when it has been predicted that 30 to 50% worldwide population may carry the parasite, people. And you know what I mean? And are people being transparent about this stuff when they're being tested? Okay, so you're testing. This is the things that people don't think about. Okay, so you're trying to see um, when a lot of mental disorders, most people aren't transparent about it and totally being honest. And we're all dealing with this on some level, people. You know what I mean? I would say the world population is schizophrenic, people, in ways, a lot of ways, no doubt. The entire world. It's on what level are you on, people? We all have delusion going on. All of us. I would say 95% of the world's population. So bipolar people, just to think that these things can cause this is just insane to me. And so we've been getting a lot into things over here, super deep stuff. And so when we're talking about this system that we've been exposing here and understanding over here, this is a gigantic piece of the puzzle, people. So what we're talking about today is your thoughts, that voice in your head, and just to think that these things are causing this on a level is insane. And then these things I'm talking about, people, what's the solutions? The solutions is number one, thoughts. Number two, these things I'm pointing out right here in front of us. Those are two great solutions that definitely you shed this programming, which I'm working on myself, people. I'm with everyone else on this. I'm still trying to figure this out myself. Because I need to do better. That's why I'm here for myself mostly. And I want to share this information in my journey. So it's like, if we don't deal with these thoughts and these things, people, this is number one in my view. Outside of, whatever you have going on, your family, whatever, you know what I mean? But as far as you and your well-being, mentally, physically, and spiritually, you can't name a more important thing to deal with. Because once you deal with the thoughts and these invaders, everything else will follow. You're not on the script anymore. Now you're creating your own and you're connected with, you're filling in the gaps, and now you're walking your own way, people, without manipulation. You unplug from the matrix, people. This is what we need to do. We're not going to do that learning the shape of the earth or what's the new Mandela effect. It's not going to happen, people. It won't. So, what else is here? Anything else? Okay, so we have already got. So this is another thing, people. Um, that's important. And this is the crazy thing, people. A lot of people in my personal and internet life literally disappeared once I started discussing this, people. You know what I mean? That's how much control these things have, to where they have this immediate rejection and disgust and this like run away, like get away, like go away, like cooties towards this topic. A lot of people. It wasn't until I discussed this, a very important thing. But meanwhile, their true self, deep inside, be, beyond this programming, wants them to take in this information and deal with this. So, yeah, people, it's deep stuff. I knew immediately once I really understood it, oh, this is a gigantic piece of the puzzle. Actually, all these pieces of the puzzle I thought were pieces weren't. This became, imagine 1,000 puzzle pieces that I'm realizing this is all a piece of the puzzle here, piece of the puzzle. Once I learned this, it was like those 1,000 pieces turned into one piece of the puzzle. If you catch my drift, people, that's how important this is. Altering gene expression, people. These things, not those, but you know what I'm talking about. Switching on genes, altering gene expression, people. Do we understand? We're not going to be here much longer. I know I've been saying that. I don't want to be here that long. Dude, this is so big. It's not even funny. Gene expression is vital for everything from cell function to development and adaptation. It's like think about this, people. What's going on with the world? Not medical advice. What is happening to the world, people? On a physical level and manipulation going on with people. Altered gene expression. It is vital for everything from cell function to development and adaptation. It is like an orchestra conductor, ensuring that all the instruments play in harmony to create a beautiful symphony. This is a mind-blowing way to describe it. They alter gene expression, even in the fetus stage, people, and all the way up to after. What do you think's been going on with the world, people? Altered gene expression. Can somebody prove to me otherwise? Please, I'm all ears. I have never in my life even heard someone say that. Like, seriously. Gene expression is vital for everything from cell function to development and adaptation. It's like an orchestra conductor, ensuring that all the instruments play in harmony to create a beautiful symphony. And what's been going on with people? Me, myself, too. All of us. The orchestra conductor of us, mentally, physically, and spiritually, isn't is now the matrix, not ensuring all the instruments of our mind, body, and soul is playing in harmony to create a beautiful symphony. So, if you really want the truth, people, be careful what you ask for. You know what I mean? If you really, really want it, people, this is exactly where it will lead you. If it didn't, then you don't want the truth. So, yeah, I mean, there you go. It is the process by which information from a gene is used to create a functional product, typically a protein. Here's the breakdown. Regulates how and when genes are expressed, ensuring that proteins are produced at the right times or wrong times, and in the right amounts or the wrong amounts. Proteins, I don't understand this science too much, but I can understand somewhat here. And what have we been seeing, people? It's not a beautiful symphony working in harmony anymore, for the most part. There's a manipulation going on, but what is the manipulation? Industrial, is this and that? And how have they not discovered it in all this time? You know what I mean? How, especially in the United States, how we are in this situation. And they're still turning a blind eye to this. And it's so obvious. We've shown video proof, proving all of these diagnoses what it is. It's already been proven with science. You know what I mean? So this invader is everywhere, every nook and cranny of this reality, you know? So altering behavior. The genes can be turned off or on. New manipulating parasites are yet to be discovered on our doorsteps. These brain-bending parasites interact with human species will no doubt develop more strongly over the next decade. And so that's what we've been seeing, people. You go back in history, you start learning about this. You look at the Rockefellers in the 50s. You look at in the 1900s. You look at these different areas where they were actually discussing this and doing testings. And then different programs are running with the insane asylums. I mean, you name it. Different resets going on. Different parasites. The South, where they would talk slow, had this, you know, whatchamacallit, stigma or whatever about talking slow. That was a parasite, people. You know what I mean? They admit it now. That was whipworm or whatever it was making them all talk slow. You know? And so these things have evolved in so many ways, things that we really don't we have no idea what's really going on here, people. It's so deep. Even what I've discovered is still just a small little speck of it in my view. Even science and technology and the medical system really doesn't fully understand what this is about, people. That's how deep this is. Just like we understand that, wait, these governments and they're not really controlling things, you know? There's something outside. There's a system that's really, you know what I mean, running the show behind the scenes. Same. This is that system, people. You know what I mean? This is that system. One of its tools, you know what I mean? One of its many tools, but this is a big one. Anyways, so I had this up too. Let's keep moving forward here. Let's get through all these. I only have like one more thing here, and we're gonna end it. But shout out to everyone that was here. I can't see the chat, but the most important part of this stream was the beginning when we were talking about reading that article. So if you haven't watched that, please rewind this and at least look this up if people are just tuning in. This article here, Voices in Our Heads, the Prefrontal Cortex as Parasite. This is from Made in America. Everybody go read this if you're not going to rewind this stream. So there was this here. I don't remember what this said at all. A new discovery from the University of Virginia School of Medicine explains why, and that finding could have important implications on brain infections, neurodegenerative diseases, and autoimmune disorders. They found that the parasite, if kept in check by brain defenders called, release a unique immune molecule. So this process works so well that very few people develop symptomatic toxoplasmosis, the disease the parasite causes. Isn't that interesting? You see the word magic they're doing? That, oh yeah, we all have this brain parasite. Don't you worry though, because most of the time you have defenders while this is in your brain. You have defenders that's going to make you not symptomatic. That's its goal, people. It wants to be that silent invader because it's not about making you have symptoms, people. That's its goal. So when you're asymptomatic, now you're really in trouble. In some ways. Or you have symptomatic. When have you ever heard of somebody you know diagnosed with symptomatic toxoplasmosis, people? Ever? Let's be honest. Is it really happening out there? What is it called? What was it called again? Hold on. Oh, here we go. Symptomatic toxoplasmosis. $40 million people are infected in the US. Most with healthy immune systems who get toxo do not have symptoms. Those with symptoms may experience flu-like symptoms, swollen lymph nodes, muscle aches, and pains. And so this is super deep stuff because isn't that crazy? Even the first thing on Google says 40 million people in the US is infected right now with the brain parasite. But don't you worry, most don't have symptoms. And if you do, it's flu-like, swollen lymph nodes, and muscle aches and pains. And then if you go into the doctor with these symptoms, what's the odds that they're actually going to discover this thing? No, you're going to start dealing with the symptoms. Eventually, they're going to go away. And now you're really screwed too. Now you're asymptomatic and it's still going on because it's not about the symptoms. It doesn't, that's what it doesn't want. So it's actually failed its mission. Once you don't have symptoms again, now it's really on the prowl. Just waiting for your immune system to drop, your defense system to drop, and it's going to take that, you know? Well, what is this here? "30% of human is infected with T. gondii, but clinical toxicity is frequently is a wide range, blah blah blah." Now it said something here. It said something here. 25 patients independently saw their physicians. Only 3 correctly diagnosed the symptoms as toxoplasmosis. See that? They even admit 25 people, only 3 were, according to them, I don't know. But it makes sense to me based on the medical system. Of 25 people, 3 were correctly diagnosed that should have been diagnosed. That's what I'm gathering from that. Look at this. Even the CDC admits, people. So this is their information, not, I'm not guessing or nothing. It's like I'm going to their own stuff. You know what I mean? I used to read CDC articles and information from the website, and I would get medical misinfo, people. I'm not joking. I would be reading an article from this right now, cdc.gov. One time, I think a couple times, I read something like this. I got a medical misinformation, people, for reading what they said. And the CDC is the one that caused the strike, but I read their information. Isn't that crazy? 11% of the US population less than 6 years of age is infected. No public health surveillance data are available in the United States. People, you could think the medical experts and stuff is like they're all liars, don't trust anything, bro. Have you gone into it? It's actually more frightening than what you know when you actually get deep into these studies and stuff like that and their data. We don't know what we can trust, but trust me, it's actually like I get more frightened when I actually look deep on their own websites. And I'm not even joking or exaggerating. Have you ever done that, people? When you talk about some medical procedure or something and you want to know more about it and the ingredients, and then they have the studies, have you ever really opened up the file of the study and started reading it? In your life, have you? I've done it many times. I went back to the 50s and was looking at them. And I thought the same thing. There's nothing going to be here, blah, blah. I was like, I'm going to try this out. I was more frightened than I was before I read those. I was blown away looking at it. Um, so they have little questionnaires and stuff. Look at this. As of April 2021, toxoplasmosis is reportable in 8 states. Among these states, public health, this is new to me, personnel from 6 agreed to participate and were interviewed. Wow. Has been reportable for as long as it could be remembered, reviewing blah, blah, blah. Several possible reasons were suggested for why it was made reportable, including monitoring disease prevalence. So it's not even reportable in most states. It doesn't exist to the doctors, people. Something that's infected, and they admit 30% of this population in the US isn't even reportable in most states, people. What do you think is going on here? This is a crime. I'm sorry. This is just. And the crazy thing is that they admit these are mind controlling things. They control our minds, can cause schizophrenia, bipolar. just all types of crazy stuff. And it's not even reportable, people. That is just. And the crazy thing is that, and maybe I'm reading this wrong, but let's say that's true. Because gets complicated when you start reading these things. Let's say it's only reportable in 8 states. Meanwhile, this C to the D to the C is going to other countries like Egypt and going to schools and prisons and testing all the kids and prisoners. But they won't do it in America. Isn't that funny? I have the whole thing on that because I read it. It was rather strange. Develop and implementing a standardized case detection in states where it is reportable could help ensure that surveillance data are collected in a standardized way and establish common goals for surveillance. So right here, prove my point. They don't even have they haven't even implemented standardized case detection in states at all. It's not reportable or detectable. This for me is just like this is mind blowing, people, that this is going on. This is such a gigantic thing, people. Oh my God. And so, anyways, I mean, when you have this understanding, it just so many things don't matter anymore. You know what I mean? And you really start looking at people like, whoa. If you're not understanding this, then I don't know what your what type of infection you got going on, but it's really has you lost in the sauce. And so, if that's the case, it's not reportable, no detection mechanisms in place, and that was from 3 years ago. And I imagine the same thing's going on today, even in the states where they do have it, still null and void, not happening. Um, what do you think's been going on with this world, people? While most people, kids, you name it, is looks like their gene expression was altered. Most That's what's been happening, people, on a basic level. To sum it all up, people. And let me point to this again, people. Much love to everybody. We're not going to be here much longer. I know I've been saying that for an hour now, but the orchestra conductor that ensures that all of our instruments, mind, body, and soul, and especially our bodies, plays in harmony. So that harmonic of all of our elements in our body, that harmonic symphony that needs to be there for, for our development, and then also with a lot of things as we go along, that symphony, that conductor is being infiltrated. And that's what's going on with people. When you see different things that's happened to people, let's say, I'm not going to go in details, there's not a harmonic symphony going on. And it's been altered. Why? What happened, people? What has happened? So, anyways, I'm going to end it, people. Um, Thanks for being here. I know most people, they don't It's whatever. I know when we talk about Parasite or Runaway, I'll never let it go, people. I've dropped so much stuff and talking about. Even when I see more people run away from it or not care, the more I'm going to talk about it. You know, I'm not letting this go. And so, this is a big reason why I separated myself from so many people and channels and stuff like that. Like, you know what? I realize what's important, you know? And the real truth isn't popular. So, the most pointless truths are the most popular, people, you know? And so I know that this isn't, but I don't care. So, with that, people, I'm going to shut it down. I didn't want to be live this long. And look out for more clips I'm going to be posting. Um, I'm about to post the next clip, people. I'm going to post a Mandela Effect clip. I'm working on it right now. That's pretty interesting, of a like an altercation on a panel. And then I have a bunch more stuff from yesterday to post. I'm going to be working on today. But with that, I don't want to be live any longer. Everybody, sorry I couldn't see the chat or anything. Oh, what's up, AK? Good to see you, bro. Laura, Kat, Austin, Glenn, Thorn, Nathane, AI, Austin, which is everyone that joined. Thank you. Sly Davis, everybody, big shout out. Thank you. Much love.